Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent here with Real Property Associates, and today I want to discuss the most common listing statuses. I want to define a couple terms really quick though before we get too far into it, and the first term I want to define is what is a listing. And simply put, a listing, and we're talking about home sales right now, a listing is when the home is listed for sale with a real estate agent. So that means the seller has signed a contract with a real estate firm and they have given authorization for that agent or company to sell the house and post it on the multiple listing service. Now, multiple listing service is another term I want to define really quick. And a multiple listing service is a place where brokerages cooperate together. So my company, Real Property Associates, partners with all the other brokerages in the area, and we share our listings with each other. So when I am the listing agent for a home, we put the home for sale on the MLS, and then all the other real estate agents can see that home for sale as well and bring a buyer for that house. What that also means is that that data is then syndicated out to all the real estate portal websites. When you think of things like Redfin, or you think of Zillow, or you think of Trulia or Realtor.com, all those sites actually benefit from the MLS and get a feed or indirectly receive data from those listings. So with that information in mind, I want to break down really quickly what the different statuses mean. So if you're looking at homes online and you see these different statuses, you actually know what you're looking at. So the first one I want to talk about is just active. And active, or it's usually an A online, just means that your house is actively for sale. It means that there are no offers accepted and that the sellers are open to accepting an offer. Now, when you see the active status, you'll also want to look for the offer review date. A lot of the homes for sale have an offer review date, and that's the day that the seller is going to be considering offers. Typically, that's about a week out. And we're talking specifically about the Seattle context, so you have to bear with me if you live in a different area. This might not be 100% applicable. You might not have offer review dates in your market, but in the Seattle market, most of the homes are taking offers about a week out. And if the home's been on the market for multiple weeks, that would probably be an opportunity where you don't necessarily need to wait for an offer review date, and you might be able to bring an offer immediately. The next status I want to talk about is contingent, usually abbreviated with a CT. And what that means is that the seller has accepted an offer, but that offer is contingent, or it depends on the sale of the buyer's current property. So that would mean that the buyer needs to sell their house before they can purchase the next one. Something to note about a contingent offer is that it will still show up as for sale, and the seller can actually accept another offer. And in that situation, they would then go to the first offer and say, we've received another offer. Would you like to waive your contingency, or would you like to back out? In that case, if they decided not to waive, the seller could actually bump, is what it's called, that other offer and take the new offer that they received. I'm going to peek here so I make sure I get all these, all right? So the next status is pending backup. So that means that the seller has accepted an offer, and that pending backup would be abbreviated with a P and a B. The seller has accepted an offer, and then the seller is actually soliciting more offers. So in some cases, it just means that the seller didn't receive a great offer and they're hoping to get something else. But the only way that they would be able to take your offer in that case was if that first offer actually fell through. So maybe they were worried about financing or something like that. So in that case, you could come in as a backup offer, and in the event that that first sale falls through, you could become the first in line, essentially, without the house having to go back on the market, which is always nice. The next one here, pending feasibility. This is more of a builder, house flipper kind of status. It's a PF is what you'll see. It's somewhat like an inspection, but the buyer is going to be doing their due diligence on whether they can use the property the way they hope to use it. So they might be bringing in architects, they might be doing land surveys. This could go on for months in theory. A lot of times these feasibility studies actually get extended, but it's more of a solid deal with that research going on. It'd be more like the sale is pending inspection. And we'll talk about that here next. So pending inspection means that the house is under contract, the seller accepted an offer, but it is subject to an inspection. We'll call that an inspection contingency. A lot of times you might have heard that term as well. And what this means is that the buyer is going to be doing an inspection. This period of time could be 5 to 10 days typically, and sometimes it's a little shorter if it's competitive. And even still, sometimes buyers will actually do their inspection ahead of time. If in a competitive market, that would be called a pre-inspection. And in that case, it would not be subject to inspection. But let's just suppose that it is subject to inspection. In that case, the buyer would do their inspection and then have the opportunity to either do further inspection, so this timeline could be bumped even farther than that 10-day period, or they could just go to the seller and ask for concessions and start negotiating back and forth. This is also the last chance most of the time where a buyer can back out and still retain their earnest money. So this is a pretty big contingency that sellers like to see eliminated in a competitive situation, but very common in a normal real estate situation. The next status we're going to talk about is pending short sale. We're getting close to the end here, so that's a PS, pending short sale. And what that means is that the seller did accept an offer, but that it is contingent or subject to the approval of a third party, and that's usually the lender. So in that case, the lender needs to agree to accept this price in lieu of what is still owed on the home. So typically that means the seller owes more than they're going to be able to sell the house for, and then this third party needs to say, yes, we will accept this price and cancel the remaining debt. So that's what we're going for. In this situation, it could take 30, 60, 90 days, even more sometimes. And the lender will want to see more offers. So if other offers come in, the seller can accept those as well and pass those along to the lender, because the lender wants to get the most money for the home. And so they might draw this process out a little bit. I'm going to flip here to the next page. Make sure we're getting all these for you. So just pending is going to be where the seller has accepted an offer and it's not contingent on an inspection. There might still be other contingencies like a financing contingency or a title contingency or something like that, but it's not contingent on an inspection, which means, generally speaking, that this sale is probably going to be going through, but you never know. Typically it is a 30-ish day process. 30 to 45 days would be on the longer end there, and sometimes a little quicker, but you can expect when you see a house go pending, it'll probably be on the market for around about a month. The next status here, and these are less important for you if you're a buyer, but you might see a canceled CA. That means that it was for sale and that during the listing term, either the listing firm or the seller decided to terminate the listing and decided not to sell for some reason. And that could be that they're planning to put it back on the market at a later date and just taking it off temporarily. There would be another status you might see, temporarily off market, but you might see that canceled status. Another reason you might see the canceled status is because they substantially changed the property, so they did some additions or they did some major remodels, or they dropped their price or changed the price up or down in a significant manner, typically about 5%. So in those instances, you might see a canceled listing, but then a renewed listing at a higher price. And then expired, we're almost there, expired listings are listings that have gone the full listing term and didn't sell. And so maybe they accepted an offer and it didn't work out, and by the end of that listing term, and these terms range from 3 months to 6 months to 8 months. Typically 5-6 months is a pretty normal listing term. But in that case, the listing agent was not able to sell the home or the seller didn't accept an offer. But typically, that speaking, it's just we didn't get any good offers during that period of time. And the seller either decided to not sell the house, or they could re-up the listing and just sign a new listing agreement with that listing firm or a different one. And then the last status is sold. That means the house is no longer for sale and that it was listed, and then the seller accepted an offer and we went all the way through the process and somebody else got to get some keys. So We started with active, we went all the way to sold. This video is a little long-winded, but I think there's a lot of value in here, specifically if you're newer to the home buying process or haven't bought or sold in a long time. So again, I hope this information is valuable for you. If you have questions about it or want to talk more with me, I'd love to connect. So feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out in the comments below or in one of the contact methods somewhere around this video. Again, thanks so much for watching. I value your attention a lot, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.